Here's Cameron Bertuzzi. We should probably answer it. All right, everybody. Cameron Bertuzzi's calling. Hey. If I put you on speakerphone, is that okay? Yeah. All right, Cameron Bertuzzi, you are live on Pints with Aquinas with Joe Heschmeyer.
Hi, Cameron.
Hey, it's my first time being live ever.
Can you put your headphones on and make sure you can hear him okay? Yeah, this is funny. We used to fly you in, but now this is just way easier. But we were talking about the comment you made earlier about Sola Scriptura.
Yeah.
And Joe Heschmeyer was thoroughly agreeing with your doubts about Sola Scriptura.
Shocking.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that doctrine and a lot of these other doctrines as well, kind of thinking through my objections to Catholicism as deeply as I can. And I was just, the other day I was reading, and I feel bad because I don't remember the name of it, Scott Hahn's book.
Oh, Rome Sweet Home? When you were here, when he gave that to you, I was here with you. Rome Sweet Home, yeah.
Okay, Road to Rome, is that what it's called?
Rome Sweet Home.
Excuse me, we just finished eating. Yeah, so Rome Sweet Home. I was reading through that, and I was reading the section on Sola Scriptura, and I just, I thought about how it kind of seems arbitrary where we draw the line of where inspiration ends. I've been getting some pushback by Protestants on my page, as you can probably understand and appreciate. But it's just something that occurred to me. This isn't like a knockdown objection to Sola Scriptura or anything. It's just something I was kind of toying around with, thinking about.
Well, one of the things
I decided to post it.
One of the things I love about you, Cameron, is your honesty, that you're willing to say, hey, I'm thinking about this again, and it's troubling me, even though you know that you're going to have a significant contingent of your audience not happy. I love that vulnerability you have. I think that's why people like you so much.
I'm like right on the line these days of like, I have people who are like really hoping for me to become Catholic. That's probably like half my audience. And then I have half of the people that like really don't want me to become Catholic. So I'm like right on that line between like both camps. And so you're right, it is kind of intimidating to like post. It doesn't matter what side it's on, if it's pro-Protestant or if it's pro-Catholic, like it's still pretty scary to post anything these days because I'm going to get a whole lot of pushback.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, no, totally.
It's a thrilling journey to watch.
Who's this guy that you're with?
Okay, so this guy, his name's Joe Heschmeyer. He's a super smart Catholic, but also just a really good guy. I don't know. Sometimes you say super smart, and you're like, yeah, he could be smart, but like an idiot or like a mean person. But he's not. He's very smart.
Both an idiot and a mean
He's
person.
both an idiot and a mean person, and whatever. But anyway, I don't know why we really called you. It was just to say hi.
Oh, well, I could run one of my objections or something.
Yes,
please.
All right. Cameron Bertuzzi's objection to Catholicism. Go.
The objection is, and I'm hoping that I can find an answer to it. I've talked to Trent Horn a little bit about this, and he thinks that the two can be made compatible. So the objection is basically based on the doctrine of annihilationism. So I became convinced of this doctrine, or I lean toward it, I'll say that. And it happened several years ago at this point. I was actually I was in a debate with an atheist. And the atheist was basically assuming eternal conscious torment, the traditional view, in his argument. And so I was like, well, no, there's these other doctrines that you might hold if you're a Christian.
Right.
Anyways, the story behind it is not super important. Like, I'll cut to the chase. Okay, here's the question. Is Catholicism compatible with annihilationism? Because if it is, then that would be a sort of stumbling block out of the way for me. So what, in your view, are those two compatible, or are they like, if you're a Catholic, you've got to believe the traditional eternal conscious torment view? What's your view on that?
I don't know if can you hear me all right, Cameron?
I can hear you well now.
Okay, cool. I think a lot depends on what you mean by annihilationism, by which I mean, I don't know if you've read any of C.S. Lewis's stuff on this. When he talks about hell, one of the images that he uses is of a log being burnt in the fire. And a log that's been burnt up in the fire is still a log. When you see that ash heap, it is in some sense the log, but it's unrecognizably the log. In other words, if there's some like person you really like who goes to hell, if you were to see them, they would not be the person you really like, because everything you really like about them is in some ways the working of God's grace. And deprived of that, you just don't have the person in the sense that we're imagining the person. So in the eternal conscious torment view, the mistake I think both sides are typically making is imagining a person with all of the things that make them good and decent and lovely in hell. And that's actually incoherent, because the things that make them good and decent and lovely are through the participation of divine grace and the divine indwelling and everything else. And those are the very things that they're saying no to in being damned and in damning themselves. They're rejecting all that is good and decent and wonderful about them. So do you have a person in the sense that like both sides are anticipating or imagining? I think we have to really explore like what that means. So I don't know that you could have a total annihilationist view that like they simply cease to be in any way, shape, or form. But I also don't think you have the view where they, in the sense that we think of them now, are just like in hell. In the same way that it kind of, well, not in the same way. In a flip side, think about like St. Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 when he talks about the bodily resurrection. It's not true that we're just like disembodied spirits forever, but it's also not true that we get our bodies back in the senses that we have them now. We get our bodies back in some unimaginably different way that he compares to like a seed that becomes a plant. And so the negative of that is like the, popcorn kernel or something that is totally, it's no longer what we're imagining it to be, but it is still that thing in some sense.
You can't see it, but I'm nodding my head.
Yeah, because is your primary objection that it would be an unjust thing for God to punish someone eternally?
Nope.
Okay, because prima facie, I feel that way. Like I just feel it. It just seems insane that someone could, whatever, See,
I've heard a really good I've heard a really good traditionalist defense of that from a guy named Jerry Walls. I've had him on my show before. And C.S. Lewis kind of said something along the same lines. So here's the idea, is that when you go to hell, you're not in a situation where it's just like impossible to sin anymore. And so if you continue to sin, then you're kind of like continuously racking up punishment points, so to speak. So it's like you could, in principle, continue to sin in hell and continue to deserve more and more punishment. So it's not that you're receiving an infinite punishment for a finite crime. You're receiving finite punishments for finite crimes, and that process goes on infinitely.
Can I suggest an alternate view, Cameron?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rather than thinking about it in kind of the penal way that seems almost legalistic of like, well, how many years do you get for, blasphemy or something like that?
Yeah.
We are made in such a way, and we could only be made in such a way that our happiness in its deepest and fullest sense can only be found in the enjoyment of God. That you want goodness. Everyone who's ever lived wants goodness. And there is one, and there can be, by definition, only one infinite good, and that's God. And so if we who have this infinite hunger for good, and I think that's demonstrable, try satisfying yourself with sin, try satisfying yourself with worldly pleasures, and it stops being fun. You want something more. It's not satisfying. Like there's a reason alcoholism exists. There's a reason escalation in sin exists. It's because like that hit you got last time no longer does it for you. That's the nature of something metaphysically true about us at an interior level. Not God's punishing you by making the second drink not as much fun as the first drink. No. The way happiness works and the way our metaphysical hardwiring works is our orientation towards good needs higher and better good. And the more we try to satisfy it with lower goods, the less we're actually happy. Like the person who's totally given themselves over to sin is less happy than the saint in every case. And as a result, the person who is made for infinite happiness and will only be truly happy in a lasting, enduring way with the full enjoyment of God, which is all of us, and even Aristotle realized that, when we say no to that one happiness, we're saying no to the only thing that could make us happy. It's like if I say, hey, I've got this plug, and I'm not going to plug it into an electrical socket, and then complain that I'm being punished because like the computer doesn't turn on. Well, it's like, well, I said no to the only thing that would make it work. And so now I'm just enduring forever by like refusing the only thing that works. So it's that idea, like God alone can satisfy our hunger. So when we say no to that, it's not a punishment even. I mean, it's a punishment in one sense, but it really is us doing to ourselves saying, I don't want the only thing that's going to work here and then complaining that nothing else works.
That's like a really good way, or a really long way of saying the C.S. Lewis quote that the gates of hell are locked from the inside.
Yeah, I think really long is a good description of that.
Well, hey, Cameron, feel free to have the final word here. That we should probably get going, but I want to tell people to go check out Capturing Christianity. Cameron Bertuzzi, good friend of mine, awesome dude. He has wonderful intellectual discussions about the Christian faith on his channel. Great debates, excellent stuff like that. So check it out, Capturing Christianity. But any final words?
You're way too nice. So, yeah, I mean, I think that kind of answers my question. It seems like the answer is basically no, that they're not compatible in the more traditional sense of just what annihilationism would be. But I mean, I feel like I've heard, or not. It's not a feeling. Trent Horn told me that he knows of someone who thinks they're compatible. So I've got to that's what I'm currently looking into. I've got to look into it further. But I appreciated everything you said.
All
yeah,
right.
for sure.
God bless you, brother.
All right.
Say hi to Brittany.
See you later.
Bye.
Okay.
You wait. The next video that comes out from Trent Horn. Rebuttal video. Trent Horn rebuts Trent Horn. Wow.
I watched that debate, Trent Horn versus
Yeah,
Trent Horn.
wouldn't that be amazing? Trent Horn debating Trent Horn.
Just
Yeah.
for those confused in chat, that wasn't Cameron, your wife.
That was not my wife.
She has a very deep voice.
Yeah, no, that would... Is that what they thought?
Well, somebody was saying that. I thought Cameron was Matt's wife.
Yeah, no. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought about the video.